Hey everybody, it's Aluna Michaels, Esoteric Astrologer, talking to you about February 2024. And I'm sorry, I've moved to a new home and you know, it's just been chaotic. So I didn't do my video last month and it's coming in late this month. But all right, so because I didn't talk to you last month, we didn't talk about Pluto moving into Aquarius, which I think I talked about in December because it's the big news, you know. Pluto changes signs very infrequently, right? Lately, you've been hearing a lot about that because Pluto moves so slowly in the sky that when it retrogrades, it was going back into Capricorn and back to Aquarius. In fact, it pops into Capricorn just for a few weeks at the end of the year. But I say this is really, we're getting into the Pluto and Aquarius now as of the end of January. And, Pluto represents personal power. It's big issues in the world. I mean, it's just a huge force of transformation. And that can be economic power or political power or, things about public health, human rights. I mean, Pluto is big stuff. And when we're talking on a global stage, whatever. So, Aquarius, because Capricorn is a great sign, but when Pluto's been in a sign for a long time, you get the bad part of that sign, like for instance, when Pluto was in Sagittarius toward the, early 2000s at that end, and Sagittarius is very, the bad part of Sag, or the good part, could be kind of loosey-goosey with things. And, we had the mortgage crisis at the end of Pluto and Sag, which is just kind of like, Pluto's this big power of money, and represents loans and things like that and being in debt to somebody. And, Pluto in Sagittarius was like, okay, have a mortgage, have a mortgage, have a mortgage. And a little sloppy, stuff. And then it goes into Capricorn in 2008. It was just like, I'm pretty sure it was 2008, right there, 7, 8. And, Capricorn is like, no, it's a very, solid line. And we need boundaries and we need rules. And we have to check in about all this stuff. And, it's like, oh, like all of a sudden it goes into Capricorn. It's like, boom, the good part of Capricorn. Like, what the heck's going on here, Sagittarius, And then we had the repurposing movement in with Pluto and Capricorn, and people getting into architectural salvage. And Capricorn is about appreciating old things, or the wisdom of and the beauty of things that come from the past, and reusing them. So that's been great. But as it gets to the end of Capricorn, we can get more elitism, more stinginess, this idea of, things being out of reach of regular people, like, with housing or different stuff like housing crisis stuff and interest rates and blah, blah, blah. So my hope is that Pluto going into Aquarius is more egalitarian and more fair wealth distribution and more power to the people kind of thing, where it's like, it's much more inclusive than Capricorn. I mean, Capricorn's protective, but then it can get like, well, I'm just protecting my crowd, the bad part of Capricorn towards the end of that Pluto visit. And so now with the Pluto in Aquarius, it just creates a lot more, options. Just changing to any sign obviously is good. You can work with the bad part of Aquarius at the end of that in 20-something years. But so also personally, Pluto and Capricorn moving toward the end of Capricorn can be extremely self-critical, can make you feel like overly perfectionistic, because that's part of Capricorn is, doing the best and getting up that little mountain. And Pluto personally can be just being really hard on yourself, feeling like you'll never attain goals, and just like you're exhausted from driving yourself and your spiritual goals or health goals, whatever. So Pluto moving into Aquarius can be a lot more kind towards yourself and a lot more accepting, and even changing the rules that you use on yourself to be more fair, And so there's just more optimism with that. And because Pluto itself is about remaking yourself, it can be transforming your body, your psyche, your relationships, And gosh, I should silence my phone. It's like everyone in the world is texting me. Okay, that's going to get silenced now. So, Pluto in Aquarius too. Just to say, if you are an Aquarius, like me, I like say for me, I'm born February 9, so my sun sign isn't till 20 degrees, and Pluto's going to take forever to get to 20 degrees. So is Pluto working with me right now? You know, if I'm born, you know, if you're early in the Aquarius cycle, like you know, you're born the 24th or something, it's like yeah, it's pretty close to your sun sign. But you know, just because you're an Aquarius, it's not like oh my god. But there can be some mild appreciation of Pluto being in your own sign, but technically you're not going to deal with that force for a while. But you could be any sign, like you could be a you know whatever a Virgo, and have your moon at early degrees of Aquarius or your Mars or something, and Pluto would be working with you. So, you know, Pluto takes so long. You can't be, you know, say, oh, it's working with me. But just in general, that it's moving into the sign, the whole, you know, humanity is feeling the shift. The other thing people worry about, just to acknowledge this, is people say, well, the last time Pluto was in Aquarius was in the 1770s when we had the American Revolution and the French Revolution. And granted, this was a time of course, revolutions and overthrow of governments and things like this, and of course, return of democracy and all that. But at the same time, we discovered the planet Uranus right then. I think it was the late 1760s. Again, not ready with the dates. It's early in the morning for me. So Uranus is the planet that rules Aquarius. So to have Pluto, this you know forces changing in Aquarius, but have Uranus discovered, when we discover a new planet, it really shifts the consciousness of humanity. I mean, the planet's always been there, but we're aware of that energy and we can more easily utilize that, you know. So that is a greater disruption, energy push than Pluto just going into Aquarius. I mean, it's great Pluto's in Aquarius, but some people are trying to hype it up like, you know, everything's going to fall apart. And it's like, well, this changes. There's always changes when Pluto goes into a sign. But just discovering Uranus was much more huge, you know, and it happened at the same time as last time Pluto was in Aquarius. So I just want to put that out that this is not going to be as intense as the 1770s, whatever we're going into, but, you know, time will tell. But, okay, so there's a Pluto in Aquarius that's going to be there for a long time. And certainly embrace it. I'm not saying throw it out if you're not having the transit. We all feel that ingress, we call it, you know. And then again, we'll talk about it, I think, in next January because Pluto pops into Capricorn just for a smidge and then back into Aquarius. But by and large, we're in that vibe of the Pluto in Aquarius. So the other thing happening in February is that, of course, the sun's in Aquarius, but also Venus, Mercury, and Mars are all kind of clustered together and working with Pluto right there. So Pluto is about the willpower and the strength of your will. And so for everybody, again, to have those planets working together, it's a time when you can really dedicate energy to new goals, relationships, financial strength, working with I was going to say ego, but you know, healing your identity, and feeling that you can do anything. You know, there's something about that push that all of those smaller planets, you know, I included the sun, so let's leave that out because that was in January, but it's the Venus, Mercury, Mars that are all together with that Pluto in the middle of February. And it can be like, you know, I can do this, or I can, you know, link my energy with a spiritual power. If you think of God or your soul or your angels or something like this, that it's like Pluto is the idea of I'm more than just regular me. I'm like super me and combined me of these other energies that support who I am. So, you know, goals, finances, you know, changing your thinking, all of that is really great this month. And then later in February, when the Sun and Mercury go into Pisces, because the other two won't be in Pisces quite as quickly, Saturn's in Pisces, right? So we have the Sun and Mercury with Saturn, and Saturn solidifies something. So these promises you're making yourself or the goals, that Saturn can undergird that and say, yeah, I can do this. I can keep doing this. So you could have some more consistency this month with believing in yourself, or any sort of habits, even tiny habits you change to support these goals could be sustained, you know, so that's great. The other thing is just talking about the new and the full moons, which are kind of intriguing. So on the 9th, we've got the new moon, which of course the sun and moon are together, and then the planet Uranus squaring them. So the sun and moon will be in Aquarius, and again, Uranus is the ruling planet for Aquarius. So, that's new things. Of course, a new moon, but that Uranus in Aquarius is interesting. It kind of says, Uranus squaring the new moon in Aquarius is like opening your mind even further, and being able to reach further and believe in yourself more, so it's getting out of your comfort zone. And it can be a little nervous. It can be like a surge of energy there. So staying with breathing techniques or other things you do to soothe yourself. Sometimes it's not the greatest to have like a lot of caffeine or sugar when Uranus is really active with the moon, because it's like you're already feeling woo, and then Uranus makes it, even more, and then the caffeine on top of it. It's like, okay. But using it to challenge yourself is really great, to say, I really want to overcome these things. Of course, you got that idea of that Pluto and the Saturn later in the month. So it's setting up like being able to really leap over some challenges you've been having. Then when we have the full moon, that's on the 24th. And that's, of course, when the sun and moon are opposite. And that's around that same time where the sun is working with Saturn. So again, that full moon can say, I did what I chose to do, or look how far I've come. And being able to see that, and you may really want to see how much you have accomplished. And that could be just this month or over a period of time. And the one shortcoming of that full moon, because the moon's in Virgo, and then we're including Saturn in this, can be self-criticism. So it's like to evaluate yourself from a positive, like what I have done rather than what I haven't done, to keep that momentum going of like, I've done well, I haven't done all of it, and I can continue to have successes and move forward. So this is a little bit shorter, but I want to make sure I did the video and got it out there. I've just been so sorry. My life has been chaotic, and it's getting a little easier every day. Moving to a home is a lot. So have a great month. Again, thanks to the guys at Know Thyself Podcast. Thank you. And if you need me, alunamichaels.com. Texting is always fastest, 248-583-1663. That's, if you're watching on YouTube, that's under my video information. And contacting me through YouTube can be a little challenging because I'm not getting notifications from YouTube. But if you need me, let me know. Otherwise, have a great month, and I'll see you in March. Okay, bye-bye for now.